The world has always tried to understand why the Igbos are called Africa's most fearless people, but their fearlessness is not an accident, not a coincidence, and not a title earned through myth. It is a legacy carved from centuries of survival, innovation, defiance, and an unbreakable belief in human possibility. To speak of Igbo fearlessness is to speak of a people who learned that courage is not the absence of danger, but the decision to rise above it. A people who understood that the greatest threat to freedom is not oppression itself, but the silence of those who accept it. From the earliest villages of the Niger Basin to the great commercial towns that dotted ancient trade routes, the Igbo spirit was shaped by a philosophy that every human being carries divine potential, that no person was created to kneel before another, and that destiny is not inherited, it is built. When you trace their story through generations, you find a people whose courage did not come from armies or empires, but from the conviction that the mind is the most powerful weapon ever created. The Igbo rejected centralized kings, not because they lacked the ability to build empires, but because they believed that true power belongs to the community, not to a throne. They refused to submit to any authority that did not earn their respect. This is why foreign colonizers struggled to conquer them, not because the Igbo had more soldiers or more weapons, but because they had a psychology that refused domination. Fearlessness was ingrained in their worldview. It lived in the way they raised their children to ask questions instead of waiting for permission. It lived in the way their communities made decisions collectively, guarding freedom as a sacred birthright. It lived in the way individuals were taught to master a skill not for pride but for survival and dignity. If you look closely at the palm-lined paths of Igbo land, you will find courage woven into every aspect of life. You see it in their ancient traders who crossed dangerous forests and unpredictable rivers to establish markets that connected West Africa long before European maps even recognized these lands. You see it in the craftsmen who shaped bronze with such precision that modern metallurgists still study their method. You see it in the farmers who carved prosperous communities from stubborn soil, teaching the world that greatness does not come from what you are given but from what you create with your hand. And you see it most powerfully in the era when the Atlantic slave trade tried to break the spine of African civilization. Many Igbo captives chose death over bondage, choosing the unknown depths of the sea rather than surrendering their freedom. The story of Igbo landing is not just a historic event, it is a symbol of a people who believed that the human spirit must never bow. No oppressor could understand how men and women in chains could still stand taller than those who captured them, but the world would learn that you cannot enslave a mind that refuses to surrender its dignity. Even those who survived the crossing carried their identity, their resilience, their fierce independence into the Caribbean and the Americas, shaping cultures of resistance from Jamaica to Haiti to the United States. And back home in Nigeria, the Igbo people continued to rise. They became scholars, merchants, politicians, engineers, healers, inventors, and visionaries, not because opportunity was handed to them, but because they created opportunity wherever they stood. The world saw their fearlessness again during the Biafran War, an era of suffering, starvation, and unimaginable loss. But even in the shadow of destruction, the Igbos displayed a level of innovation that baffled the world. Without factories, they built weapons. Without infrastructure, they built refineries. Without resources, they built technologies that proved a determined spirit can turn dust into destiny. This resilience was not born on the battlefield. It was born in centuries of hardship that taught them that the human will is stronger than any force that rises against it. Today, the legacy of Igbo fearlessness lives in classrooms where children compete fiercely for academic excellence, in markets where traders negotiate with a brilliance that rivals any business school, in diaspora communities where the Igbo rise to leadership in foreign lands, and in entrepreneurs who build empires starting with nothing but belief. To be Igbo is to understand that success is not a miracle, it is a responsibility. It is to carry the conviction that no obstacle is final, no setback is permanent, and no ceiling is too high for a determined mind. It is to know that the same blood that flowed through ancient inventors, philosophers, warriors, scientists, and craftsmen flows through you. It is to know that fearlessness is not loud, it is quiet, steady, unshakable. It is the way an Igbo man stands after failure, dusts himself off, and tries again. It is the way an Igbo woman builds a business from nothing and expands it through sheer intelligence. It is the way an Igbo child learns early that the world does not owe them anything, but they owe the world their excellence. And excellence is what they deliver. The Igbos do not fear competition. They do not fear change. They do not fear reinvention. They do not fear leaving home to find new opportunities in distant lands. Their history taught them that progress belongs to the bold, and the future belongs to those who refuse to remain where the world expects them to stay. When other people say it is impossible, the Igbo mind replies, "Watch me." That is why they have transformed nations across Africa. That is why they dominate trade, education, innovation, and entrepreneurship. That is why they rise no matter how many times life pushes them down. Fearlessness is not just part of their culture, it is their identity. And perhaps the greatest secret of Igbo courage is this: their fearlessness is rooted not in aggression but in hope. Hope that tomorrow can be better than today. Hope that children can rise higher than their parents. Hope that a person's beginning does not determine their ending. Hope that freedom is worth any sacrifice. Hope that no matter how chaotic the world becomes, human resilience will always prevail. In a world struggling with uncertainty, insecurity, and division, the Igbo spirit stands as a reminder that greatness grows in the hearts of those who dare to believe in themselves. You cannot stop a people who refuse to be afraid. You cannot silence a people who refuse to forget who they are. You cannot slow a people who treat every obstacle as a stepping stone. The Igbo have been tested by history again and again, and each time they emerge not only standing but soaring. Their courage is not a myth, it is a living flame passed down from one generation to the next. It burns in their creativity, in their stubborn optimism, in their hunger for success, in their refusal to accept limits. And as you listen to their story, you discover something powerful. This fearlessness is not exclusive to them. It is a lesson they give to the world. A reminder that strength is not found in weapons or titles, but in the mind, the will, and the spirit. A reminder that you rise not because life is easy, but because you decide that difficulty will not define you. A reminder that your ancestry, your identity, your history carries a power capable of reshaping your entire destiny. The Igbos are called Africa's most fearless people because they live the truth that every human being has the ability to break barriers, defy expectations, and rise beyond the stories the world writes about them. And now that truth belongs to you too. Courage for the Igbo was never a performance, never a mask worn only in moments of danger, and never a temporary burst of bravery reserved for war or conflict. It was the constant rhythm of their existence, a steady pulse that shaped the way they thought, worked, built, and defended their communities. It was woven into the fabric of everyday life, passed quietly from ancestor to descendant, like an unwritten instruction that the world must be faced with the chest forward and the spirit unbroken. The Igbo did not see courage as something extraordinary. They saw it as part of their natural posture toward life. From the earliest days of their village republics, when each community governed itself without kings or central rulers, courage took the form of responsibility, where every individual, farmer, trader, craftsman, warrior, or elder carried the weight of protecting their land, their freedom, and their dignity. They lived in a culture where hiding behind authority was impossible, where every decision required thought, integrity, and boldness, and where each person learned that fear might whisper, but it did not have the right to command. It was this mindset that shaped their resistance against intimidation, whether from neighboring kingdoms, invading traders, or colonial powers determined to reshape them. They understood that freedom was not a gift granted by others, but something earned and defended daily through unity, wisdom, dialogue, and, when necessary, unwavering defiance. Their courage did not roar, it calculated, observed, and acted with purpose. When you look at their economic brilliance, their dominance in trade networks, their ability to turn barren soil into thriving farmland, their tradition of apprenticeship that produced generations of self-made entrepreneurs, you see courage expressed in another form, the courage to try, to build, to venture into unknown markets, to leave home and carve out success in unfamiliar territories. For the Igbo, courage was not only found in defense, but in aspiration. It powered their decision to send young men across regions, to start new businesses, to negotiate with strangers, to risk failure in the pursuit of prosperity, and to believe that excellence was always within reach if one dared to chase it. Their courage showed in their intellectual traditions too, in the debates of village assemblies, where truth was not feared, in the judicial meetings where justice was argued with fierce conviction, and in the moral codes that expected every person to stand upright in character. Even in their spirituality, courage was expressed through responsibility rather than fear, teaching each individual that personal actions shape destiny, community, and legacy. In times of conflict, their courage became a shield that history could not ignore. They did not fear battle, but neither did they glorify it. They entered conflict not for conquest, but for protection of land and identity. They were known for their strategic tactics, their ability to move swiftly, their understanding of terrain, and their refusal to be psychologically broken. Yet the greatest expression of their courage came not from war but from survival through history's most violent disruption. During the transatlantic slave trade, when countless African societies were crushed, scattered, or depopulated, the Igbo displayed an unyielding internal fire that made them legendary across the Atlantic. Their presence in the diaspora became synonymous with rebellion, refusal to submit, and the audacity to protect their dignity, even in captivity. They were recognized for challenging oppression, for organizing themselves, for preserving fragments of their identity in foreign lands, and for rejecting the belief that their lives could be owned by others. This global legacy was not created by accident. It was the inevitable expression of a people who breathed courage as naturally as air. In the modern era, their courage continued to evolve. It became the courage to innovate, to rebuild after devastation, to rise after loss, and to define success on their own terms. Whether in business, academia, technology, literature, or global leadership, the Igbo spirit consistently chooses motion over stagnation and resilience over surrender. Where many see obstacles, they see opportunity. Where many feel discouraged, they feel challenged. This is why they spread across industries and continents with the same confidence their ancestors carried when navigating trade routes or debating in village assembly. Their courage is intellectual, entrepreneurial, cultural, and emotional. It is the courage to dream loudly even when ignored, to stand firmly even when doubted, to rebuild cities and futures with their own hands, and to push forward long after others would have accepted defeat. To understand the Igbo is to understand that their courage was never an exception or a heroic moment. It was a way of breathing, a life philosophy shaped by centuries of self-reliance, communal responsibility, intellectual sharpness, and an unwavering belief that no force on earth has the authority to break the human spirit. Their courage is not a chapter in history, but a living power carried by every generation that rises from their lineage, reminding the world that true fearlessness is not loud, violent, or boastful. It is steady, disciplined, and born from the deep truth that dignity, freedom, and destiny belong to those bold enough to claim them. The Igbo mind is a weapon that empires could not silence, because from the dawn of their civilization, their greatest strength was never the spear in the warrior's hand or the wall surrounding their villages, but the relentless intelligence that shaped every decision, every innovation, every strategy that carried them through centuries of challenge. For the Igbo, thinking was not an academic exercise, it was survival, identity, and destiny. Their decentralized political system, where no single king ruled over the entire nation, created a society where every individual was trained to reason, negotiate, analyze, and act with independence. This structure confused invading powers who expected a throne to capture, a leader to bribe, or a kingdom to intimidate. Instead, they met communities where every man and woman carried the authority of thought, where every village operated like a republic, and where governance was a collective intelligence rather than the command of one ruler. This made the Igbo unconquerable, not because they had the largest armies, but because they had a society built on mental strength, adaptability, and intellectual self-defense. Colonial administrators wrote in frustration that the Igbo were impossible to rule because no foreign structure could dominate a people whose minds were already trained to govern themselves. Across history, the Igbo turned every trial into an opportunity to expand their mental arsenal. When trade routes shifted, they adapted by developing sophisticated market systems. When outsiders tried to limit their mobility, they expanded across regions as traders, craftsmen, diplomats, and innovators. When crises appeared, they used them as catalysts for reinvention. Their apprenticeship system, an institution now studied by global economists, was not merely economic, it was psychological training, teaching discipline, financial intelligence, strategic thinking, negotiation skills, and the art of building something from nothing. Young men were not just learning to sell goods, they were learning how to see possibility in every environment, how to interpret human behavior, how to build trust networks miles away from home, and how to turn knowledge into power. This mindset produced generations of self-made people whose success was built not on privilege but on the weaponization of intellect. The Igbo mind has always been uncomfortable with submission. Even in the darkest periods of history, when external forces attempted to break their spirit, they responded not with silent suffering, but with mental rebellion. During the transatlantic slave trade, enslavers feared the Igbo because they resisted psychologically, not just physically. They refused to internalize captivity. They coordinated, strategized, revolted, preserved fragments of their language, and refused to surrender their inner identity. They carried with them a belief that no chain forged by human hands could silence a mind trained by generations of freedom. This reputation followed them across the Americas, where the Igbo were recorded as some of the most defiant and intellectually ungovernable people in captivity. They demonstrated that domination is impossible when the mind refuses to bow. In modern times, the same intellectual fire continues to shape their global identity. The Igbo excel in sciences, business, technology, literature, engineering, and global leadership because their cultural blueprint trains the mind to question, to innovate, and to pursue. They have turned migration into strategy, using foreign lands not as places of exile but as fields of expansion. Where many see displacement, they see opportunity to plant new roots. Where others fear failure, they see the beginning of reinvention. Their inventiveness is visible in everything from local crafts to technological ventures, from small market stalls to corporate boardrooms, because the Igbo mind interprets the world through possibility, not limitation. It is a mind that sees beyond obstacles, that treats setbacks like stepping stones, and that refuses to let environment dictate destiny. Empires tried to silence them through violence, through political manipulation, through economic barriers, and through social suppression, but every attempt only triggered another layer of their brilliance. They became stronger thinkers, sharper strategists, more determined visionaries. Their diasporic presence is proof that intellect travels better than land, and mental strength outlasts borders. Today, the Igbo spirit thrives in every country where they rebuild themselves, in every industry where they excel, and in every generation that rises with the same analytical fire encoded into their cultural DNA. The world continues to learn that you cannot defeat a people who treat thinking as a weapon, who treat knowledge as inheritance, and who treat challenge as invitation. The Igbo mind is not just intelligent, it is resilient, rebellious, adaptive, and eternally restless, a mind crafted for elevation. And as long as such a mind exists, no empire, no system, no force on earth will ever be able to silence it. To be Igbo is to carry the unwritten law that failure cannot have the final word, because from the earliest days of their civilization, the Igbo did not treat failure as a permanent condition or a mark of shame, but as a natural part of the journey toward mastery, strength, and destiny. Across centuries, in markets, farms, academies, trades, migrations, and even in times of war, the Igbo developed a mindset that interprets every setback as a message, every disappointment as a teacher, and every obstacle as a puzzle that must be solved rather than avoided. This mentality grew out of their unique social structure, a society without centralized kings, where every individual learned to depend on their own excellence, where initiative was not optional, and where community strength was built through personal responsibility. In such a world, passivity could not survive. Stagnation had no place. The Igbo learned to rise quickly because their communities depended on each person's resilience, adaptability, and willingness to move forward no matter the weight of the moment. This cultural mindset made them builders of opportunity, creators of systems, architects of their own futures. If a door closed, they carved a new entrance. If a path disappeared, they created another route. If society denied them a seat, they built their own table. It is this instinct for reinvention that shaped their journey across the continent and beyond. Throughout history, whenever the Igbo encountered limitations, they responded not with surrender, but with resourcefulness. When hostile terrain challenged farming, they developed new agricultural methods. When rival kingdoms threatened their independence, they refined their strategies of diplomacy and defense. When neighboring regions controlled certain markets, they created new networks and expanded their trade route. This resilience did not emerge from desperation. It emerged from a deep-rooted belief that control over one's destiny can never be given away. Their apprenticeship system, which has now become a global model for entrepreneurship, reflects this same law. Young people are trained not only to acquire skills, but to cultivate a mindset that refuses to bow to hardship. They learn discipline, perseverance, negotiation, financial wisdom, and the art of building something from nothing. For the Igbo, failure is a signal to adjust, not a command to retreat. It is a moment to gather strength, not an invitation to collapse. This is why their businesses rise quickly, why their ideas spread across borders, and why their presence in any society becomes a force of economic and intellectual motion. The Igbo worldview treats every challenge as temporary and every future as open. Even during the darkest historical periods, when outside forces attempted to crush their spirit, they held on to the conviction that no external force could dictate the final chapter of their story. Their experiences during the transatlantic slave trade and colonial expansion revealed a people who, even in the harshest conditions, used resilience as a weapon. They rebuilt their culture, reformed their families, protected fragments of their identity, and refused to allow oppression to define their existence. The world witnessed communities that rose even after being scattered, that built wealth where there was none, that created systems of support when institutions failed them. Whether in the Caribbean, the Americas, or later the global diaspora, the Igbo instinct for recovery became legendary. They carried their worldview like a hidden compass, guiding them through every uncertain landscape. They walked into foreign countries, not as victims of displacement, but as pioneers prepared to transform unfamiliar soil into new ground for prosperity. In the modern world, this unwritten law continues to shape every generation. You see it in the entrepreneur who rises after every business collapse, in the student who turns rejection into motivation, in the builder who creates opportunity in deserts where resources seem absent, in the family that starts over again and again until success becomes inevitable. You see it in the global achievements of Igbo professionals who carry their heritage into medicine, engineering, technology, finance, literature, and governance. They rise not because they have never fallen, but because falling never convinces them to stay down. Their confidence is not arrogance, it is the quiet understanding that struggle sharpens those who refuse to quit. Their adaptability is not coincidence, it is the result of centuries of practicing survival, innovation, and reinvention. Their ambition is not greed, it is the certainty that potential is wasted only when it is feared. This is why the Igbo become trailblazers wherever they go. They do not wait for permission to succeed, and they do not seek validation to express brilliance. They create their own roads, transform challenges into stepping stones, and choose progress even when the world expects their silence. To be Igbo, then, is to inherit a mentality that refuses to surrender to difficulty, a spirit that treats defeat as temporary noise, and a character shaped by generations who prove that failure is nothing more than an unfinished sentence. It is a legacy of motion, a culture of upward climb, a philosophy that knows recovery is always possible and greatness always within reach. And because this law is unwritten, it is carried not on paper but in behavior, ambition, and the unstoppable fire that lights every new generation. In every era, the Igbo remind the world of a profound truth. The final word belongs not to failure but to the ones who rise again and again.